Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cast and Spear podcast. My name is John, and today we have back on the show Eric Anderson. And today we are going to be talking about some of his great white shark encounters. Some crazy stuff here. Welcome back to the show, Eric.
Hey John, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Hope everyone enjoys these. I will try to tell a tale.
Oh well, let's jump right in, man. I know you sent me a video of you scuba diving next to one, so let's jump into that story.
Yeah, we had seen white sharks from the boat. I used to go on the Peace every year on a bug trip in November, blowing bubbles, but always great crew, always a great time. In November 2018, on the last day, we were at Talcott Shoals, about 55, 60 feet of water. It's on Santa Rosa Island. It's on that front side. Just you can see San Miguel off in the distance. We knew there was white sharks in the area. Captain told us. We said we don't care. This is where the bugs are. Let's go. The day before, two separate white sharks had been seen while divers were in the water. A couple folks sat that last day out. I definitely wanted to see one. That was like the whole intent was I want to be able to see one. And so one showed up. And as I was going down the bow line, when I got to the bottom, the bow anchor line, I looked to my left and he was cruising by maybe only 20 yards away. He's about 12 or 13, I estimate about 12 to 13 feet, cruised by, went up and over a ridge towards some other divers. And I instantly got my GoPro out and I just chased after him. And I got up over the ridge and I saw him kind of circle around a couple groups of other divers. I could see their bubbles off in the distance. And because I think I gave him attention, he became interested in me because he circled back. And I got two passes where he was off a little bit, but on the third pass, he came in within 25 feet of me. And I was able to sit back on my knees with my GoPro and get this awesome video of him cruising by. And then I watched him for about another 20 minutes. At one point, he went away for 5 or 6 minutes. And I started to make my way back to the boat. And I knew the boat was right there because I literally just come down the anchor line and saw him. And I was going back to the boat and something said turn around. And when I did, he was probably 40 yards off or so, but I could just see his silhouette and he was right on the bottom with his pec fins completely flared out. And the look of just seeing a white shark kind of looking at you, their eyes, because they're so far forward, it's almost like it becomes one eyeball that's just locked in. And he was moving super slow, but as soon as I turned around, he turned off to the way. So then I was, okay, I'm not time to go back to the boat. I'm not turning my back on him yet. So I watched him, and then I finally watched him go off in the distance. I followed after him a little bit, and he just kept going. And then I took that as my opportunity to make it back to the boat. And when I got up, everybody, what the hell were you thinking? And I could hear people, who's that guy down there filming the shark? What is he thinking? But, I didn't feel threatened, and that's why I did it. He was checking us out. I didn't sense any bit of aggressiveness. He was a big fish and he was curious. He came around and he showed himself and he took off and it was awesome. And to be able to have that video, that was a really cool experience. So something I'll never forget.
Well, you got some big cojones, man. That sounds pretty insane. How big was the shark? Was it a juvie or was it something bigger?
I think he was right in that transition phase. So he's pretty barrel chested, had a lot of scarring on him. When I looked at him, I knew right away, okay, he is taller, long than a basketball hoop, 10 foot. And between his caudal fin, and the tip of his nose, probably at least added another 2+ feet. So I think 12 to 13 foot, roughly.
He's eating mammals at that point.
That's a small one if you ask most people. So.
Well, that is impressive, man. Even blowing bubbles, I think I would feel a little bit safer with the bubbles than free diving for sure. So what about the location? Like you told me offline about the red triangle. What is this thing?
Yeah. So that was down in the Channel Islands of Santa Rosa Island. I think there's a lot of white sharks there because there's a lot of pinnipeds in San Miguel Island, seals, sea lions, and elephant seals. But the red triangle, from my understanding, typically is around Bodega Bay, down to Monterey Bay, and out to the Farallones. So it kind of creates this bit of a triangle where, around Monterey Bay and on Nuevo Island, you've got a ton of seals and sea lions breeding. Same up in Bodega Bay, like around Jenner too, where the Russian River comes out. And then, of course, out of the Farallones. And it's just sort of this hot spot for a ton of white shark activity. You hear about sightings all the time. It's well known that there's a lot in this area. And then especially like in Santa Cruz near Aptos, on the inside edge of Monterey Bay where the water is the warmest, they call it Shark Park. There's like 20 to 30 white sharks. There's drones and helicopters getting footage of them. The whale watching boats are now white shark watching boats. Down to Santa Monica Bay and other areas too, there's a lot of these quote unquote nurseries where there's young juvenile sharks. But then what's the hot spot around a lot of the elephant seals or the red triangles? That's where you see a lot of the larger sharks. So around Ani Nuevo, I know commercial fishermen and rec fishermen who have seen sharks easily that they, 22, 25 foot, which is, huge. I do not want to run into one of those. But, they're all over the coast. You could run into one in any stretch of California from border to border.
How do you dive knowing that there are sharks? Like, what did you have to tell yourself, or do you just put it in a little back corner of your mind and just like try to never think about it? Like, because I have friends who like they kayak fish, right? They'll be like, oh my god, I'm scared that it's just gonna come knock my kayak or whatever. I'm like, well, I'm in the water, so I don't really feel that way. But like, what do you do?
I carry a tourniquet on my weight belt, so that's one tiny thing. I have a shark shield. I don't use it often. I should. But I think for me, it just goes back to my time in the military. So I was able to patrol in Afghanistan and know that at any step I could get blown up by an IED. And you're able to do that and put that in the back of your mind. So I use that, same go-to with the sharks. I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. I know it's there. I have moments where I'm at certain spots and you feel that kind of hair on the back of your neck stick up and you do the, oh man, this is feeling kind of sharky. But, a couple minutes, take a deep breath, like, nope, I'm good to go. And you kind of move on. But it's tough, especially when there's a lot of activity. Last year, there was a couple deaths here in Monterey Bay from white sharks. A surfer, a kayaker got smacked. Was okay by Vandenberg Air Force Base a couple years ago. A kayaker got smacked. I've seen video with Chris Okamoto. I think he has awesome video at Catalina of just getting skyrocketed on. I think twice.
Yeah, he's like the shark whisperer, and they just want to come talk to him closer and closer every time.
But it's part of the risk you take when you get in the environment. You're not at the top of the food chain, so you just have to. I might rather see a white shark than an orca if I was spearfishing in the water. The white shark I might be able to fend off. If the orca wants me, he will take me. And it could be playful, where he grabs my fin and takes me to 100 foot. That pilot whale video, totally different topic now. But anyways, yeah, you just kind of got to compartmentalize it and forget about it completely, or just grow to be comfortable with it.
Absolutely. How about your second story? It's not a shark story, but it was your monster. What was it? The monster lingcod? What was that one?
Oh yeah, it was a shark story.
Oh, that was a shark story.
That was here in Santa Cruz in October 2017. Diving with a buddy from a shore dive. Was on the kelp, and about 10, 12 feet below me, definitely saw a shark cruise by, very slow. But it looked to me barrel chested enough, at least big around as I am, that it was not, a soup fin or leopard shark or whatever else. I think for sure it's from the size of being so barrel chested at 6 to 8 foot. It was a juvenile white shark. It was in a big room in the kelp. You like to think they don't go through there. They definitely do. There's video of like a 12-footer cruising through kelp, no problem. with it sliding right off of his pec fin. So I think that's just a myth we all like to believe. But I gave the signal to my buddy and kind of did this. So we went back to back and watched the water for about 10 minutes. Thought about going in, decided that he had moved on and kept diving, and ended up shooting my personal best lingcod that day 2 hours later. So it worked out to overcome the fear and move past it. I mean, we're in the ocean. You can't be so surprised that you're going to see wildlife, especially sharks. So,
have you looked into like how to deter sharks? I was listening to a podcast. I forgot the guy's name, but he goes scuba diving like with IMAX cameras to hot spots where the biggest great whites are, and he was talking of, he's like, the color yellow is like the only color that they actually are attracted to. That was one thing that he learned. And then he's only been charged like twice, and he said the only thing that deters them, which is info he got from like some crazy South African dude, was you have to like charge them, kind of like it's like a game of bluff. But if you're trying to like, that they're coming up at you and they're flared out with their fins or whatever, if you don't show that you are the apex, you will die. Like or you'll get hit.
yeah.
So I was like, ooh, that's because all my fins are yellow, so that screwed me. But I'm like, oh, I don't even know if I'd have time to even think about like charging, but maybe it's different with scuba.
Yeah. I think about it though. I mean, okay, if I see one, if I'm flown in the kelp and I do one of these and he's right there, what am I going to do? Obviously, my first motion would be create space between him and me with my gun, if possible. But I also know that the likelihood that I'm going to see him, unless he comes in and knows and does like a checkout, they're just kind of checking you out like that one did in the Channel Islands. But where we're diving and based off, being on the surface and everything else, probably going to get smacked.
There's this one old guy who did a lot of spearfishing. He told me that he saw one in Catalina that was kind of checking him out, being really aggressive, and the only thing that was able to deter it was getting really long. So like really getting your body fully horizontal, your gun pointed all the way out as far as you can, your long fins. Because he's like, well, if you're like 5 foot, 6 foot in length, plus your long gun and your long fins, you don't look too small. Like you always look bigger than like a human just swimming. So that might be something to consider. But yeah.
Well, with bears, they say make yourself look bigger, hold your ground, don't turn and run. With big cats, don't turn and run, hold your ground. With white sharks, I guess, hold your ground.
Hold your balls and pray for the best. For sure, yeah. For sure. Is there anything else you want to cover with regards to sharks or stories?
No, I mean, they're out there. I think it's healthy to have a fear of them. But I think it's also good to think about what you're going to do. Is there some risk that could be mitigated, like the shark shield? Some guys swear by them and use them every time. I don't, but to each their own. Don't let it keep you out of the water, I would say. There's a lot of enjoyment in diving, and I would hate to see someone not do it because of Jaws or something like that.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, that does it for this episode. Tomorrow we are going to be covering tourniquets and safety and how to use them. So make sure you listen in on that episode. Hit up Eric. Say what's up on Instagram at Eric_J Anderson. I'll put how to spell that in the show notes. But until next time, dive safe.